The Flash is a repeat tonight, but the Flash universe is in full swing, so we're going to break it down here today on Flash Chat. Welcome everyone to Flash Chat. I've got some really special guests here today. We have CEO of Word of the Nerd, Bryan Brown, and then we have Andy B from the Flash Podcast. He's dialed in to talk with us. You see his picture right there. You can find him at the Flash Podcast on Twitter. And they do a great podcast every week after the show. It's really interesting. So we've got a ton to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Too much. And it's only been trailers that have been released. I mean, but these trailers are epic. So between WonderCon this past weekend and the two new trailers, okay, we got to break it down. Take a look at these trailers right now.
I thought that Wells was a great man. I was so wrong.
I wanted to talk to you about Barry. He hasn't really been himself lately.
What if I'm wrong about everything else?
So you think Cisco and Caitlin are helping him? That's impossible.
Is it?
What do Dr. Wells and the Reverse Flash have to do with each other?
They're the same person.
I don't understand.
He is the man that killed my mother. I don't know what to do.
That's when you need your friends to have your back. There's a lot to discover.
Dr. Wells.
Are you sure that's wise, Barry?
Some would say I'm the reverse.
Barry!
When I face off against the man in yellow, I won't make the same mistake twice.
You have changed the past.
Joe, I'm gonna save my mom.
Time is an extremely fragile construct. How many more people could die if your mother lives?
This is why you became the Flash, to put things right.
Barry, we have talked about this.
I know, and I'm done talking. You're not gonna pay for another man's crime. He's the man that killed my mother.
I know what you're thinking.
Do you?
We need your help.
We have the technology.
The Atom lives.
Take your last breath.
I'm the queen of this hive. I'll show you what it means to be stung.
Bees. Why did it have to be bees?
If I didn't know any better, I think that you were hiding something from me.
No help here.
What the frack?
What do Dr. Wells and the Reverse Flash have to do with each other?
They're the same person.
Anybody that knows about this is in a hell of a lot of danger.
I warned you not to mess with the timeline.
Hello, Cisco. I don't know anything anymore, especially who I can and can't trust.
The real end game is almost here. This is gonna be fun.
You can't stop me, Flash. And you never will.
Okay, huge trailers. Let's start with the first one. And this one is kind of like the team up trailer. We see in this that, you know, Barry's going and telling Felicity that Wells isn't a good man. It's all about the loyalty between Cisco and Caitlin teaming up with Sketchy Wells to try to, I don't know, he's trying. He has suspicions. What do you guys think? What do you think about his suspicions? Do you think this is going to come into play as a big part, or is it just a good teaser?
Well, I certainly think that Cisco's already got his doubts.
Yeah.
So Caitlin's going to be the hard sell, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah. See, well, Cisco, has he always had his doubts about Barry, though? Like, why is it turning like Barry versus these guys now?
It's probably because of Wells. You know, he's Sketchy Wells. He's getting his claws into him. He's creating doubts in everyone's mind.
Exactly.
Because he knows he's really close to being found out.
Yeah, true. Now, Andy B, we looked at WonderCon this past weekend. A lot of the articles have come out. Did Killer Frost Daniel Panabaker was quoted as saying that we're probably going to be seeing her a lot sooner than we think. Do you think this trailer, where there is doubt between the loyalty between Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry, is maybe going to be leading to Killer Frost and Vibe?
Well, the comic fan of me would love for that to see it happen in that episode. I do think they're going to give us some great teases of how that's going to be set up, because her quote, like, for a minute I was thinking when she said you might see Killer Frost sooner than you think. The funny thing was that she never said that it was going to be maybe perhaps about Caitlin. Maybe it was going to be, I don't know, maybe there are other Killer Frosts in the Flash universe. So in the comic books, so it could be Lois Lincoln, who is she's the first Killer Frost. So that could be maybe a nice kind of leadway into making going from her and then making Caitlin Killer Frost. But I'm sure they're going to stick with just Caitlin as the only Killer Frost. So no, but I think what we see in this trailer and so on is, and I can understand why Barry is a little bit suspicious, because think about it, he woke up in Star Lab with people that have been working together for how many months and years now. So
right.
I can stand his skepticism, but at the same time, if I was Barry, I would give them a little, I would give at least Caitlin and Cisco a little bit more credit for what he's giving them.
Yeah, it's kind of like what was happening before Barry came out of the coma. There could be a whole other scenario, but I have a hard time feeling like they're going to get Bab. Then again, they have those alter egos. I never thought about it being a different person they brought in as Killer Frost. There was that image released of Caitlin as Killer Frost, but I don't know if that was officially released by DC.
I don't believe that was official.
Okay, it was just like maybe fan art.
Which one wasn't that you saw? Was it her, like, you saw her back and she was looking, Yes. Oh, that was actually. It was actually from one of my friends who's an amazing artist, Bazologic. So
well, there you go.
So I reposted on Instagram today because I remember that quote, and I was just saying that I hope that the design that he gave her is something I hope they will go something similar with on the show, and maybe with some more clothes on. But
I don't know. The fans would probably be fine with that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry if I made it seem like it was official. No, I don't. As far as I know, they haven't. There's no photos of her as Killer Frost. I don't know if, maybe they won't even show us until, like, for the first time in the actual episode in the season finale or something. But
maybe that could be a great cliffhanger. And then Cisco, Carlos Valdez has been quoted as saying he doesn't see Vibe anywhere on the horizon. He's looking. He doesn't seem to know about it. In some red carpet interviews from WonderCon and PaleyFest, he was saying that he can't imagine doing that right now. It would be awesome. And he even thought, because somebody told him the quote of Daniel Panabaker of what she had said about seeing Killer Frost soon, and he was like, what? And so the person interviewing him was like, you don't know anything that we know, like, we don't know anything more than you know. So maybe it's all speculation. Maybe they're just trying to rile up the crowd for the ratings, but it would be cool to see. But in the meantime, Cisco will be helping the Black Canary Laurel create a new version of the Canary Cry in an upcoming episode. So these crossovers, it looks like it's going to be probably more than one episode of crossovers coming up in this season.
It's probably going to have to be. They'll do something similar where there's a crossover on Flash and there'll be a crossover on Arrow the next night.
That'll be 2 nights of fun viewing.
Yes,
I'm
definitely
excited about that. So we got to break down this the second trailer. Now this one, I'm calling it like Eddie and the Villains, because it's a lot more of, I'm going to start with Sketchy Eddie. Hashtag Sketchy Eddie and a lot of the villains. We see, Wells is in jail. We see more of Grodd. We see that bug-eyed bandit, which is Emily Kinney from The Walking Dead. We see the rogues are out of jail, so I don't know what's happening there. And then I thought this was interesting. Barry has a gun in some of the scenes, which is kind of anti-Barry. He's not about the violence, he's about the peacemaking. So what were your thoughts on Barry having a gun and then him fighting himself? So I want to throw in that extra question. Is there a doppelganger of some sorts?
We've seen a lot of time travel, so that could definitely come into play. The gun, it's hard to make a comment on that when you don't see it in context.
Exactly.
Anyone driven to a life or death situation, if there's a gun handy, they're going to pick it up. Even Batman has done that.
True,
so,
that is true.
It's like I said, it's kind of hard to say for sure without some context, but it was pretty I guess, disturbing to see him actually have a gun. He's supposed to be a hero. They don't use guns and all that. So.
And he's like wearing a blazer, not the flash suit. So something weird is going on there. What are your thoughts? Do you think the scene where he's fighting himself, if you notice in the trailer when he's fighting Eddie, looks like the same setting. What are your projections about that?
You want to go first, Bryan?
No, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
No, well, I just, I tend to read the official description and so on, so I kind of have an idea of what they're doing and so, and just, is it okay that I bring up what's coming up? Because I think that what we saw, those scenes of him fighting Eddie or fighting himself, I think that is from episode 19 where they're actually going to introduce, spoiler, they're going to introduce an actual Green Arrow villain from the comic books called Everyman.
Okay.
And and based on his name, you can kind of figure what he might be able to do. But no, he's a shapeshifter.
A shapeshifter, yeah.
So that's kind of what I think it is. But you never know. Maybe the one that when he's fighting Eddie could be the villain and Barry, and maybe the two flashes clashing together. Maybe that's a time travel shot. It just happens to be in a similar setting. But I would not be surprised if all of that is the Everyman. Everyman.
Well, the Everyman. So that is a huge kind of like spoiler tease for 2 episodes from now, and I didn't know anything about that. That is pretty interesting, and it kind of debunks a theory that was on your podcast. Shag from @firestormfan.com. He wrote in this theory that I thought was the most interesting, and I think you thought it was pretty cool too, Andy. It's that. There's a new timeline where Reverse Flash takes over Eddie's body. Barry time travels, saves his mom. It creates this whole parallel timeline, and then Wells doesn't die. So we see the Wells that we'll be seeing will be the nice guy Wells, and then the bad guy that's the Reverse Flash will be Rick Cosnett playing, Eddie. So that could debunk that whole theory, although I love that theory. That could explain why.
Amazing.
Yeah, why he's shooting the cops, but it could just be a fake guy being Eddie shooting the cops.
Another thing that I got from the trailer when you see the bug-eyed bandit, Emily Kinney, there's also a character named Queen Bee.
Okay.
That they might be kind of mixing these up a little bit, and she can control people.
Yeah.
So that might play into it, because you see a bee stinging somebody.
Exactly, and then if you slow down one of the frames where it looks like Barry is on the ground, it looks like his face is stung. So it doesn't look like he was been beat up. It's a different kind of injury. Yeah. I like to freeze all the trailers and really figure it, because I miss everything. They're so quick.
They're doing a really good job at keeping things close to the chest.
Yeah.
And I was totally unprepared for the, I'm going to steal Wells's body kind of thing. So they were right. Nobody guessed that.
Yes. Okay, now Andy, what do you think about the Snowberry kiss? Where is that coming from?
Well, okay. There are 2 possibilities here. One, it could actually be, Caitlin and Barry actually falling for each other, but there was just that villain we were talking about, Everyman, and I'm, I don't know if I want to say that. Maybe it's Caitlin that that the Everyman turns into, and she decides to kiss Barry, something like. So it's it's Caitlin and Barry kissing, but I don't know. I know the producer, I think they said something at Paley Fest that Snowberry fans were going to be really happy, and I think episode 19 or 20 with something coming up. I don't know if this was it, but I know it could be either a real full-on kiss, between both real people, or maybe the villain just decides to become Barry, or Caitlin just give the other person a smooch.
Well, you know what? That Everyman can throw a huge wrench into everything. I don't know where you found that out, but that's amazing. I mean, I've never even seen any speculation of this, and I've been reading this Flash stuff all week because since that last episode, I haven't heard anything about that. But that could really, it could really throw a wrench in how everybody reacts to everybody, but then also it could just be like a villain of the week. So it could be a minor thing too.
But with Barry going around messing with the timeline, I mean, we already saw that, just the small actions he took in that second episode, Iris doesn't feel the same way about him anymore. all kinds of things can happen as long as they're still messing with time.
Yeah, yeah. And the concept of him going back to save his mom, I still think it would be epic in this show if they did that. He went back in time, saved his mom, and then it just changed the whole course. Like, you can almost redo the whole Flash with a completely different.
That's Flashpoint.
Yeah, for New 52, right?
Yeah, that can, that spelled, changes throughout the DC universe.
We could see a
with him
different
doing
Flash. We could see, Kreisberg said you could see Wally West. It's not out of the bounds of imagination. And even Black Flash, he's quoted as saying, if there's something that existed in the Flash universe, no matter how crazy or silly, there's a good chance it'll be on the show. So I guess really anything's game.
Yeah, and like I said, as long as they're messing with time, anything, they can do anything, go back and change it. Cisco died.
Yeah.
Next episode, he's, or by the end of the episode, he's back. They can do anything and go back and change. Yeah, they can change anything as long as they keep doing this time travel.
Exactly. Andy, what do you think about the potential of Wally West coming on the show?
I think he's definitely gonna come in next season. I think. I don't think that Flashpoint is the thing that has to, that has to be the reason to give us Wally West. I think Wally West is out there somewhere. That maybe I still believe that in this universe, instead of being Iris' nephew, maybe he's actually his, her brother, and he lives with the unseen and unknown Mrs. West, because so far we don't know if Mama West is dead or not. So,
good point.
So that's kind of. But I know they will probably stick to what it is like in the comic books of having him be her nephew and so on. But then you have to introduce kind of another family lineup and so on to get to that. But I think Wally West is definitely coming next season, and I think maybe season 3 is when he might turn into Kid Flash or whatnot. But no, but I do think that the whole aspect of Flashpoint, I think that's also what's going to set up, the whole spin-off show that they're working on. And I don't know, maybe Flashpoint will be the thing to bring in Supergirl into the universe too.
Interesting. So Kreisberg said, he can't really say exactly. Somebody was really grilling him on the red carpet. I think it was at Paley Fest, but they were trying to say, well, the old Black Canary is on this new spin-off show. Is this a parallel universe, a parallel timeline? And he was like, I applaud your effort. We will.
Oh, that was actually, I'm sorry, but that was actually Amy from my podcast that actually talked about it. She loves multiverses, so she couldn't, she wanted to ask him so bad. And it was hilarious to watch his reaction, because it's like, it was funny and so. But that's what I love about just specifically this show, because they can explore all those options of multiverses, time travel, rewrite history and all that. So I think it's anything is possible with this show, and that's I think that's kind of basically the catchphrase of it. With Flash, anything is possible.
I think so, and that's going to be a lot of fun to write for this show. He says also some villains we can expect to see next season: Mirror Master, Dr. Alchemy. Who would you guys like to see, and who do you think will be on?
I'm excited for Mirror Master, of course, because he is such a classic Flash villain.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more Captain Boomerang.
Okay.
Because I don't think they did him justice.
Yeah.
He shows up and then they catch him.
Oh yeah, a lot of people wanted to see more.
Yeah. Just getting the group of rogues together.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Would be amazing.
That might happen this season at the end with Grodd. Who knows?
Yeah, it's about time we get to see more Grodd.
Yeah, now that makes me wonder, because they've been hyping him up so much. Do you guys think that it'll be something that will be mildly resolved this season, or do you think they're just gonna cliffhanger it with Grodd does something epic?
Grodd may already be doing epic things.
True.
Grodd is a telepath, and he is able to control minds, so that he can control people to do other things. My Queen Bee theory might be totally off. This could be Grodd doing all of this.
True.
We just don't know.
And we do see in one of the trailers Joe West down there with Grodd in the sewers, and you never know, he could be controlling Joe West's mind, and Joe could turn against Barry. I mean, anything's possible. We should make shirts. Anything is possible on The Flash.
And if you start throwing other big heroes, Supergirl, Hawkgirl, all from the spinoff, all kinds of things.
They'll probably be introduced. Andy, who do you think is going to come up as a hero or a villain or a new hero on next season?
Well, I'm gonna echo and say because I totally want to see Mirror Master on the Flash. He's one of my favorite rogues, and I kind of want to see how they do with his powers and whatnot. But I think they're setting up Gorilla Grodd to be the big bad for season 2. I think that there's no point or reason to have him suddenly be the big bad of everything. Yeah. I think that just give us some good teases and stuff like that, and then in the season 2, that's when you can make him the big bad and so on. Right now, I think we should focus on Harrison Wells, Eobard Thawne, and Reverse Flash, and then I think the show can definitely move on to Gorilla Grodd, and because they have a lot of cards, but they should definitely not play all of them in their first year. So but in terms of heroes, I would love to see Hawkgirl be introduced, maybe in an episode of Flash. They did say at WonderCon that Arrow and the Flash will be used to set up the spin-off because the spin-off is supposedly going to air during mid-season. So I don't know, maybe February of 2016, something like that.
That's what we're thinking with the CW upfront. So we're thinking that there may be a trailer, but it's not coming in fall. So we're thinking probably February, spring release. Which, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they originally said it was going to be a mid-season kind of thing, summer, which would be good because superhero shows all year round.
Exactly. Oh man, the overkill, I love it. So I wanted to talk about the emblem when Barry in the trailers is fighting the Reverse Flash, and but he's flying through the air, so it's flighting. Okay, we're going with flighting. He's flying through the air, fighting the Reverse Flash in the flashback of his mom's death scene. The white emblem on his suit. Thoughts about that? Did you guys pick up on it?
I did not see
upgrade.
that at all.
Costume upgrade?
Yeah, that's the most reasonable explanation. But yeah, I didn't even pick that up.
No, see, so we talked about it a little bit on the last Flash chat. Could it mean future Barry? Could it mean, what does it mean? So it means something. It's something, I guess, to be continued.
Well, Cisco's always making improvements and additions to the suit, so we never know. I'm ready for Barry to get the suit in the ring.
Yeah.
That's something, we've already seen Reverse Flash do that, so I'm kind of hoping he gets that technology, because that was always a cool little thing about the Flash. I know they can't, physically stuff the costume in the ring like they do in the comics, but I always thought that was really, really cool.
I know, I want a Flash ring.
Me too.
If you guys want a Flash ring, batcheapsterrings.com. He makes awesome ones. Actually, John Wesley Shipp bought him one and Grant Gustin one. So batcheapsterrings.com, that's a plug. So we've learned that the finale name is Fast Enough. So we're charging there at full steam towards the finale. The finale will be May 19th. But again, this episode of tonight is going to be a repeat. We can catch the latest episode of The Flash coming up. It'll be a brand new one next Tuesday at 8. Tonight, iZombie is new, so make sure to tune in. If you want to watch the repeat of The Flash, do that. Stay tuned for an all-new iZombie. It's a great show. It's going to be on at 9. And again, if you would like to hear more about The Flash, tune in to The Flash podcast. Andy, what do you got coming up on the podcast?
Well, we're going to do an episode this week. We're kind of, preparing for the storm, basically, and that is these next couple episodes, and speculate on what's going to happen. And but then when the show is back, we're going to go, full steam ahead and just, review each episode and talk about it, and take listener feedback and all that. So, the season is kind of, the rest of the season is kind of laid out, because it's only a 1 week hiatus. So. And thank God, I'm so tired of hiatus.
I know.
The one thing that is that's worse than Reverse Flash is hiatuses.
Exactly.
So,
He's the true enemy.
Especially when they go 2 weeks and then a week off or whatever.
Exactly.
It bugs me.
Well, you guys can write into the Flash Podcast at the Flash Podcast on Twitter or theflashpodcast.com. And what do you guys got coming up at the Nerd?
At Word of the Nerd? Oh,
yeah, Word of the Nerd.
We're just ramping up our new podcast, The Comics Word.
Okay.
We're bringing in an entirely new cast that we're auditioning each week. And it's like 3 hours of comic book talk.
All right.
Everything coming out that week. Reviews of what everyone's read.
Okay.
And we have a book of the week that everyone reads and we talk about it. So we've got a lot of great new people coming on.
Okay.
Potentially, great guests within the comics community. Okay. So it's really looking up.
Ramping up. It's wordofthenerd.com, and you can talk to them at the Nerd Online is their Twitter address. And are you still doing the GoFundMe for the camera?
Yes.
Yes, GoFundMe for the camera. You want to help a brother out?
Yes, please.
Get on there. Go to GoFundMe. You can find it through your website, right?
Correct.
Wordofthenerd.com.
Yeah, and we're actually we're working on gifts for donators.
There you go.
So,
and it's to buy a camera for the podcast. So thank you guys both for being here today. We had so much to talk about. We will have so much more. Please don't release another trailer. I can't handle it. It takes too much.
Yeah, slow down and give us a breather.
I know. I gotta take a nap now. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here, and we will see you next week on Flash Chat.